In this video, let's talk about how background vocals can help support your lead vocal. Like, when you listen to the radio, all the songs that are on the radio likely have background vocals. You might not even notice it, but they're supporting the lead vocal in ways that you're not really supposed to notice. But if you got into that mix, there's likely background vocals there. As always, let's use an example of a song that I'm writing right now. I've been recording for a record, so I've been writing a lot of demos. Here's one that I want to show you that we can work on that I've recorded a lot of background vocals. So I'll just play 30 seconds of the song so you can get a bit of a vibe. Feel free to skip right into the lesson if you don't want to get the vibe.
You know how to stir me, always callous with your knife work. Every time I try to tear us apart, I seem to always come back around. I'm in your crystallized sugar. Oh, you know how to chill me down to golden candy, down to crystallized sugar, caught in your crystallized sugar.
Does your song even need background vocals? For a song like this, a kind of indie pop rock song, yes, in my opinion, background vocals are really going to help bring that song to a different level. If you just have a song where you're on the guitar, just solo, one guitar, one vocal, or one, like a person on the piano and you're singing, like an Adele song, for example, her newest songs, there isn't a lot of background vocals that distract from her vocal, right? Because it's all about her. And if there were a lot of harmonies and doubles and things like that, that's distracting. Let's get into choosing the style of background vocals you should choose in your track to support your lead vocal. So all the pink colors are background vocals. Now let's go through what they are and why I chose them. So you can see double C, double left, double right. These are doubles. So I'm recording the same melody and same tone as the lead vocal.
I'm in your crystallized sugar. Oh, you know how to chill me down to golden candy.
If I add the center, the left, and the right,
I'm in your crystallized sugar. Oh, you know how to chill me down to golden candy.
you can't really, they're not like, noticeable right away, but you notice how they do support it. And you should also notice one other thing if you're listening to, on a stereo set of speakers or headphones, you're going to notice the left and right here are fully panned, so it's going to make it sound wider. So doubles is the first one, and it's by far the easiest one to do because you just sing the same. What I would recommend, what I like to do personally, not everyone does this, is when you record your doubles, record it with maybe 70% energy. Like when you're recording your lead, you're really getting into it, right? Like there's a lot of emotion and you're trying to give it your best take. When you're recording the doubles, just hold back a little bit because you don't want to have like for example, we have 4 tracks here, right? You don't want to have 4 lead vocal tracks with high energy because they're going to clash a bit. So hold back a little bit when you're recording doubles. That would be my suggestion. The second type of background vocals you can have to support your lead are harmonies. And if you don't know how to choose a harmony or you don't know what harmony is, I'm going to link up a video here where you can learn how to sing harmony and what harmony to choose. Notice this stack of harmonies here.
I'm in your crystallized sugar. Oh, you know how to chill me down to golden candy, down to crystallized sugar.
Sounds cool, right? But how do you go about choosing it? Well, you do one at a time, and then eventually it adds up like this. It doesn't always just sound this good at the beginning, especially because there's a lot of processing on that, and we're going to get into that in the next section of the video where we'll talk about how to really make these tracks come to life. So this low harmony left and low harmony right is the lower harmony, that's why I titled it like that, of the lead. So me personally, I find the kind of the melodic motif and what those notes are of the melody. So in this case, it's
I'm in your crystallized sugar.
I'm in your crystallized sugar. So the lower harmony left and right would be I'm in your crystallized sugar. And that's what I recorded here.
I'm in your crystallized sugar.
I do the same thing, but I do it the higher harmony, like I'm in your crystallized sugar.
I'm in your crystallized sugar.
And with both those together, it kind of sandwiches the lead really nicely.
I'm in your crystallized sugar.
Now, there's another one that kind of pops in and out of places because I like to give a bit of dynamic in the chorus. So we have a low right and a low, low left. What that is doing is just maintaining that root note, the key of the song. Oh, that note.
Oh, you know how to chill me down to golden candy.
Also interesting because there's auto tune on there. There might be a bit of formant shifting just to give it some texture, which I'll explain in the next section. So to recap with what background vocals you can choose, start with doubles. You can either do a left double, a right double, like those two. You can also do one up the center. Harmonies, a lower harmony, a higher third, higher fifth, a lower third, lower fifth. If you don't know what those mean, check out that other video that I've made on it. And then you can also, as a backup, another easy harmony to choose is the lower octave or the higher octave of your root lead melody. Now, besides harmonies and doubles, what are some other background vocals that you can use? Well, you can actually go crazy with a background vocals. You can use your vocal as an instrument, and I did that in this song. That's how I actually started this song. I just started with a microphone and an idea of a guitar part, and I recorded this part actually. There's a lot of automation and processing behind the scenes, making that come to life. The other stack here, stack 2, have a listen to what that is. For your curiosity, all the processing, just so you hear what it is, just my voice here, left and right. That's all it is. With all the processing back on, it sounds more like a synth, right? And you can do that to your voice. Don't be afraid to experiment with your voice using background vocals as an instrument to support your lead, but also just to make a kind of the track come to life. Okay, let's get into the third section of this video where we're going to talk about how do you process like doubles and harmonies to support your lead. And then also I'll talk about how I process some of these cool vocal stacks that I did to make it sound more like a synth. One thing I do with doubles right away is I cut away more of the low end from the vocal. See how much there is a low cut? It's coming in around 330 hertz. The lead vocal EQ is about 108 hertz. And how I quickly got back to that EQ right away is I clicked this link. When you click that link and switch between tracks and Logic, the plugin that's in the same position on the channel strip will open up. So if I go back to double, you can see it's at 330 hertz cut, which makes it sound thin on its own.
I'm in your crystallized sugar.
Too thin, right, on its own. But when the lead vocal is on top of that, it's not fighting in this range anymore. So I would do that for all the doubles. Another thing I would do that's different to the lead is I would de-ess the vocal more. Check out the how hard the de-essing is going on.
I'm in your crystallized sugar.
Consider your doubles, your harmonies as support. You don't want anything that can poke out like S's, muddiness in that low mid range. That's general processing for doubles and harmonies. Here are some things I personally like to do where you can choose to do in your own production as well. I like to tune my harmonies and doubles a lot. If I'm using something like a Logic pitch correction, I'll do a very fast response that on its own might sound very auto-tuney.
I'm in your crystallized sugar.
But within the mix of everything and with the lower in volume, you're not going to notice that auto-tune. And again, if I'm singing a bit out of key, then that wrong note isn't going to poke out. So it's going to sit behind your lead. Another thing I sometimes like to do is formant shifting, which I did on the stack here. So I'll kind of go back and forth now between the stack vocals and the doubles and harmonies and talk about processing, cool bits of processing in each one. The stack, remember this one, it sounded a bit synthy, right? So that kind of richness from the voice is coming from this plugin here. and it's making the vocal, well, I'll show you what it's like without. And now with on. So I'm lowering the formant, which means it's making the voice sound lower than it actually is, but it's not changing the note. Stay with me here. Look how many bus sends are here, and I'll explain what these are, because that's going to really help it bring it up even another kind of pro level. So this first bus is a plugin called the Crystallizer, which is a plugin by Soundtoys, which really just gives a lot of texture. But I didn't want to be too upfront, so I added some reverb to that, which pushes that distorted, saturated, delayed sound back a little bit. And then also, when you EQ that sound, you can really narrow in the frequencies that are going to be in your mix. The next bus on this stack 2 would be this bus 7, which is a delay. And notice how many plugins are on each bus. Don't worry if you don't have these plugins. The more important thing is that you know like what these plugins are. So the first one is or what these plugins do, sorry, not what they are. So the first one is distortion. The second one is delay. The third one is reverb. So you're distorting the signal, then you're delaying it, and then you're putting that signal in a reverb, which pushes it back even more. And then you're EQing that signal. So you're dialing in on those frequencies that you want in your mix. Here, if you stuck to the end of this video and you're still curious about learning a bit more, here's 2 things that can really extend this even further. So, and I won't get too deep into it because I know we're at the end of the video here, but the first one would be automation. So actually automating some of the bus sends throughout your song. If I open up automation here, you're going to notice there's a bit of volume automation. So that's going to make it sound really cool. The second thing there for background vocals would be timing and actually the editing of the track even before you get into processing it. Notice how like these doubles really in time and edited cleanly with my lead. The audio signals are stacked on top of each other, and it doesn't look like, one's over here, one starts here, and one starts there. And, I've tightly faded everything. Nothing's poking out at the wrong time. And you're going to want to do that. And then you can cut things up and then fade it out and really tuck it in. It's okay even if you're fading a first bit of the transient and a harmony there, because it's not the main thing. You actually really wanted to tuck it behind your lead. If you want more of this type of video and you want me to help you out on your music journey, here's another video here where you can watch. And please remember to subscribe. It does mean a lot and it really supports the channel.